Of that stuff. Ain't that something? So I watch SpongeBob at night, man. I'm telling you, man, it's the best guy in the world, man.
All right, I'm about to That's why you watch SpongeBob.
Yep, it's my man. I told you. Got the guy. He flipped burgers, bro, and he's the happiest man in the workplace of this planet.
Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom. It's another blessed day, another blessed Sabbath. We here to go again. All right, got another lesson for y'all today. Today is gonna be still in Isaiah. We're gonna go over chapter 58. Let's talk about true and false fasting. All right.
That's good.
So
that's how they being true.
We're gonna speak on that today.
Isaiah 58.
Hopefully everybody been looking at the website. Hopefully it's been helping y'all. Like I said, any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to add, you can always let me know, and I'll take it in consideration for it to help y'all. Because like I said, it's really a learning tool. Clearly, you still read your Bible. You still spend time with God and all those things, but it's a learning tool to help you be able to reach other people too, because that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Reaching other people. And as you're reaching other people, you know what I'm saying, going through your journey, that's basically what church is, right? Saving souls, spreading the gospel. So you just don't come to church forever, right? And then just listen to your pastor and things like that. You're supposed to actually, go out, talk to people, bring more people to the church and so forth, right? It's like a gathering. You tell God about, well, you tell people about God. That's why Isaiah, not Isaiah, but Psalms 23 is when David's talking about the good shepherd. It's actually like a chapter about him boasting about his shepherd. Like, hey, look at my shepherd, like how good he is and how good he's treating us and how much he take care of us. Because apparently, in that world of shepherding with sheeps and all that, it's a lot of bad shepherds who don't be caring about their sheep. Sheep be getting ate. Sheep don't be getting haircuts. So much more, so many things, right? But God won't forsake you and he always leads you. That's why you gotta follow him. Not me, not nobody else. You follow God, right? Because what I am, man, I'm just somebody like a road sign. I just, hey, point you over there. That's where you need to be at, right? But I'm not the one that's gonna be able to take you there. I'm not gonna be the one that's gonna save you. I just show you where you gotta go, right? Almost like a doorman. Like, hey, this the party. Yep, it's right over there. You go sign in, and then you go talk to the boss. You go talk to the person hosting the party because it's not my party. I just want to be here, so I'm a guest, like we all guests, right? Um, just the first one, I think that's live on YouTube. So I'm off the little stream yard, but it'll probably change eventually. Um, so if anybody like that link I sent, you can always go to the actual channel and you'll see the link. Well, it'll show that it's live, like you've been on YouTube. You'll see that it's live, but I'll just always send the link maybe like 10, 15 minutes before church starts, like 10 o'clock or so. So like 9:45 ish, 9:30, just send the link. But when you join in, it's gonna be like live playing, waiting for the segment to start or whatever. So today we in Isaiah 58. So you already know the routine. I'm gonna say the Lord's Prayer. Um, and after that, I'm gonna get started. One second. You got this glare on my iPad. I don't like it. Mm, private chat. Mm. All right. So I'm gonna say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Come on. All right, so today we're going to read, like I said, Isaiah chapter 58, right? It talks about true and false fasting. Give me 1 second. Can you hear me that? Uh, Appreciate you.
Got this. You said this is the false fast.
True and false fasting.
Okay.
That's what this is about.
Hey, Zeke, we gotta listen up to this.
True and false fasting.
I can only imagine what I'm about to tap into with this one. I'm about to be mad at me.
All right. So, verse 1, it states, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinance of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, you fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of the wickedness. You shall not fast as you do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. So this is Israel's way of fasting, right? So Israel's figuring, okay, we're fasting, we're not eating no food, we're not doing all these things, but we're also looking to receive certain things, right? So as you can see, when it says they're doing the ordinances, right? When you look at verse 3, it says, Wherefore have we fasted, say thee, that thou seest not? So they're fasting, thinking like, okay, now God's going to see them, right? So it's almost like, hey, mom, look, I'm over here. I'm shooting the basketball pretty good, or I'm doing this. So you're trying to get God's attention by fasting, right? Okay, cool. Then it says, Wherefore have we afflicted our souls, and thou takest no knowledge? So, like I said, you're not paying attention to him. They're thinking he's not paying attention to them, right, and not giving them no knowledge. It says, "Behold, in the day of your fast, you find pleasure and exact all your labors." So also, right, while you're afflicting your soul, which is fasting, right, they're fasting, but they're still doing what they want to do, right? They could be doing fornication, even maybe they're with their wives, right, and they're just still having sexual sin with sexual actions within a marriage, right? You're still not attending to God, right? And God explains that way of fasting is not the same as his idea of fasting. So you always got to remember, right? A lot of churches based off traditional things, like I stated last time. So with it based off being traditional things, how many things that you're doing in tradition is actually of God? You know, because God has his way and we have our ways. So this is their way. They're thinking that, oh, we're not going to be able to be seen. So, instance, on verse 4, it says, Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of the wickedness. You should not fast as you do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. So now they're fasting just to be heard. Like they want to be above you. So let's say I'm fasting and my brother's not fasting, I'm fasting. I'm like, look, God, see I'm fasting. You listen to my prayers, hear me, right? Because you feel like you above this person because they're not fasting, or you feel like you're going to another level. Also says you fast for strife and debate. So some people fast just to get information to debate somebody, right? I'm a fast just so I can argue with this person and win this debate. And God don't even want you to debate anyway, right? But they're doing all these things fasting for their own personal reasons, right? And that's not what fasting is about. Fasting is about you getting closer to God, and then God shows you what the fasting is for. What's the connection? What's the what's the benefits of fasting? But if you're fasting and you're doing things and you're not doing things for God or looking to see God, it's never going to work, right? So like I said, you fasting, oh, because you want a house, right? Or you want a car, and you're constantly fasting, right? Oh yeah, let me fast for this, fast for that. God don't care about all that, right? Because you're still doing stuff in your own heart. You could have just kept on doing what you was doing to ask God for a card. You ain't had to fast for that, because now you don't realize what the fast is for, right? So like people, when they talk about the Daniel's fast, um, they may speak on the Daniel's fast, right? And they'll talk about, well, we got to do this and do that, but don't have no idea why they're doing it. The Daniel was doing the fast because they were feeding Daniel food that they couldn't eat anyway. So he like, you know what? Just to avoid that, we're just gonna stay away and eat the vegetables and stuff. Because later on, if you keep reading, Daniel also does fast, and then one time he does eat meat and stuff like that, right? But the church is fasting through tradition. They're not fasting for the particular reason why he is. He's fasting because they trying to feed him unclean food. And then they're also saying that you're not going to be strong if you don't eat our food. So it's almost like they're forcing Daniel to be in that way. So anytime you fast, anytime you do something for God, right? Whether it's a holy day, a regular Sabbath like today, which is a holy day, um, anything you do, right? You go to church, Bible study, right? Always put God ways first, right? See what God wants you to do, because when you don't do it God's way, right? You do it your own way. This is why you don't see any results. This is why you suffer. So God is going to explain his way, right? And how you should do it. So from verse 5 to 12, this is God talking about his way of fasting. It says, Is it such a fast that I have chosen? A day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Will thou call this a fast, an acceptable day to the Lord? So he's telling them, right? Is this a fast that he chosen? So they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, right? Bowing their heads down, spreading the sackcloth, doing all these things. So they're doing it as far as the ritualistic part of it, right? So they're doing the spreading of the sackcloth there with the ashes. They're bowing down. They're doing all the things you're supposed to do in the fast, but it doesn't matter because their heart's not in the right place, right? You can do something. It's almost like somebody talking about, I'm a Christian or I'm for God, right? You can always talk about you doing something, but it's a difference when you talking about something compared to when you actually got that in your heart, right? A lot of people say they're Christians or they doing this for God, doing that, but then turn around, they out with the wicked, doing wicked things, pagan things. I know as you know, when I was younger, me coming up, that was a real issue. I couldn't understand hanging around friends and people that was like, yeah, come be saved, come be a Christian, but then you out with me. You know, you at the club, you're doing all the wicked things with me. So it's like I can do wicked things once I just accept myself with God. That's interesting. But I'm gonna hold off because I'm really not so sure if that's the way. All right. So as I read more, right, it says on verse 6, it says, is not this the fast that I have chosen to loose the bands of the wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and they that break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to thy hungry, and thou to bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh. So right here, God is explaining what he sees the fast is, right? It says this one he's chosen to loose the bands of the wickedness, to undo heavy burdens, right? So you got a lot of burdens. Hey, that's what the fast is for. It's to get rid of everything. Because when you fasting, you also got to depend on God. So just think about the world today. They say if you, I think, go 3 days without water, you're going to die. And then you go like 21 days without food or something like that. You're going. So you got all these things that you can't do, right? But then we in the Bible, we see people fasting like Christ. He fasted 40 days without water and food. He's still alive. And they'll probably say, well, he's Christ, he's superhuman. But then you can go on YouTube, right? And you can look and find people that's actually doing it too, right? Now, whether their relationship with God is the right one or whatever, that I don't know of. But it's possible that you can live like that, right? Because even when Satan tempts Christ, he tells them, to turn these rock stones into bread and eat it. And Christ was like, hey, you can't just live off of food alone, right? You also got to live off the word of God. And that's the fasting part, because if you really believe in God, you got to trust him the whole way, right? But you can't impose your ways on his ways, right? It's almost like, oh, well, I'm gonna eat pork because it's cool, or I'm gonna eat shrimp because it's cool, right? Not realizing he the designer. It was never meant for you to eat that at all, right? So now you're trying to impose your ways. Well, we got technology, medical, health, XYZ. So then you have this issue of you still going about your ways. I was talking to somebody about a situation with one of their family members, and they was talking about like diabetes and all this other stuff, and they was mentioning how their families on medications, and I was like, yeah, you become dependent on the pharmacy, you become a dependent on the doctors, and you become a customer, right? They call it patient, but you become a customer. And then once you're dependent on them, right, now you need them. So let's say something happened with the pharmacy or something like that, right? Now you got to realize, dang, my family might be stuck. They might die. So now they become like your God because you at their mercy. Because in order for you to live, you got to keep coming back to them, right? That's you following somebody else's ways of God. When God tells you there's a herb for everything, all these illnesses and stuff like that, whether it's diabetes, all this stuff, cancer, right? But just think about the ways you're following instead of following God's ways. So on verse 8 it says, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thy health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Then shall thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul. Then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden, and like a spring of water whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repair of the breach, the restorer of past to dwell in. So, like I said, as he's telling you to do this fast the way he's telling you, right? Like I said, the vanity, all these things is being removed, right? Because you're not fasting for these personal gains, right? You're fasting to get closer to God. And while you're getting closer to God, all your prayers, things you're looking for, he'll heal you according to his ways. So you may want something and he like, well, it's not necessary now, or it may not be necessary a week from now, but it may be necessary, 3 months from now, and you got to accept that, because that's also what it means by having faith, right? Trusting God can give you what you need, right, and prepare you for the next day. People get so confused about needs and wants and not realizing the difference, right? Like, you need food, you need shelter, you need raiment. He understands all those things, right? But when you want something, that's totally different. You want it to be this way or you want it to be that way. God ain't in that business, right? Because everybody, even his son, when Christ was here on earth, he's provided for him enough to get by through the day. Because we so focused, like I said, on the next day, right? You so focused on tomorrow, a week now, vacations, you might not even make it that day. So Christ tells you, hey, focus on today. You got your own evils, your own woe, everything's happening today. You so worried about that trip to go to Puerto Rico next week or whenever, you ain't made it to the day. People talking about, I'm gonna do this next New Year's and next Christmas. You might not make it, all right? And it's not to sound mean, it's not to sound bad, but you just might not make it. So you need to focus on today, right? And as you focus on today, God will take care of everything if you allow him to, right? Because you can also, like I said, go about your own ways, do your own things. But if you allow him to, he got you. So then when you read verse 13, right? This is talking about honoring the Sabbath. It says, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasures, nor speaking thy own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. So, like, even on the Sabbath, right? Yeah, a lot of people that don't do this, they don't do that, whatever, right? But if you're these pleasures that you're doing, if it's going to take you away from God, because this will be a holy day that you're supposed to be honoring God, right? Resting, learning from God, trying to let God regenerate you, rejuvenate you for the week, right? All these things will be happening on here. But let's say you're so busy, you out doing this, you out going shopping, you going to the club, you doing all these things, right? How does God have time to work on you, right? Because you're so busy and focused. Because I know when I was out and about before I was saved, I ain't thinking about God. So I'm so busy. I'm trying to figure out how to get this money. I'm trying to figure out how to help this person, right? Doing all these things that I want to do, whether it's video games, sports, all these things. If you so focused on doing that, where does God have time to even come in on you? It's the same thing with a fast. That's why it's relating to this passage. Same thing with a fast. When you fasting, you're supposed to be connecting with God, emptying out everything. You think you got demons or you think you got problems, go fast, right? Because you starving them, right? You starving yourself, but you trusting on God. They can't depend on that. They're looking for all the desires. So the reason why you going through a fast and everything get harder. Let's say you have a problem with lust, right? The demon know that, so we going to attack that as much as we can. But if you starve that demon, right, or whatever, say it's lust, it could be gluttony, you could be just wanting to eat so much, it's going to try to push you to do those things, right? And not necessarily because of the result of sin, but it's because now you can't have that connection with God, right? It's that breaking of that connection. Because eating is not a sin, right? But let's just say you was trying to change your diet and boom, now this thing was like, oh yeah, you want that cake or you want this, right? It's just breaking your mental. Because once that breaks, the whole thing gonna break down. Once you eat that, then you probably like, oh well, let me go to sleep or let me go do this. Now your discipline broke. Fasting is a discipline, but it's also, like I said, a faith aspect. You're supposed to be trusting in God. So what you trusted in God, right? You gotta realize and understand that if you trusting in God and believe that He's all powerful, almighty, all high, that He got you. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? I had a friend, he told me, can I work out in the heat and it's hot outside in the summer? Hey, look, if God wants you to die, you're gonna die anyways. It don't matter how hot it is, right? It don't matter if you don't have enough water. Like this is the miracle man. I was talking to my brother, and he's reading, Acts and John, and he was like, I didn't know Christ did all these miracles. Like, yeah, like healing the blind. I mean, he's doing a whole bunch. They really don't talk about all of them, but he's doing so much. But the act is showing you that nothing is impossible with him, right? So if nothing is impossible, you always got to remember, don't worry about food. He know you need food, and when it comes around, he got you, right? Don't worry about like shelter. If it's about to rain, he gonna give you a house to go to, right? It's all these things, but the issue is people are so focused on doing it their way, always doing it their ways, right? So like I said, when it comes to fasting, there's a way to fast, there's a way to not fast. When it comes to feast, there's a way to do feast, there's a way not to do feast, right? There's feasts you shouldn't do, there's feasts you should do. But the problem is we look at God's laws as we look at the government laws, right? So for example, like if you come to a red light and you may not be able to make a right turn on red or something like that. What people do, like say it might be like a store or a gas station sitting on the corner, instead of going to the red light, just go to the gas station, right? You go to the gas station, you come outside of the street, boom. Well, technically that's illegal. It's called cutting corners. Now, how could they really prove that? Because you could be like, I'm trying to get gas, then I thought about it, that, but it's illegal. So what people do in the law, they try to find loopholes. And I noticed that people who follow Christ, they try to find loopholes, right? Some girl, I heard her talking about smoking marijuana. And it was like, oh, well, weed doesn't get me high, so, or not get me high, but I'm still sober when I smoke. Well, I was like, well, I don't know what you're smoking because you shouldn't be sober, right? That's the whole point of you, not to smoke. It's not to be sober, but one, you're wasting your money because you should be getting high, right? But not only that, if God wants you to be sober, you're trying to find a way around it. Well, I'm not really high. I mean, you're probably lying to yourself, but if you're not, like I said, you're wasting your money. But you'll try to find a way around it, right? Always finding ways around it. As far as like, let's say when we say, oh, follow the laws. Well, you can't follow every law. Hey, bro, that's not what this is about. But you can't tell me I'm sinning if there is no law. So there got to be some law established, right? Because anybody that doesn't want to follow law, is a lawless person, and I don't think you should be around them, right? Not even just God's law in general. Because just think about somebody who breaks the laws, right? Somebody who like I run red lights for a living. Hey, you running red lights is dangerous because other people are coming the opposite way for a green light. You're gonna hit somebody. You're gonna hurt somebody, right? So the laws are in place for protection and safety, right? Especially God's laws. The world laws, it's here or there, but there's a lot of loopholes in them, right? Because the criminals made these laws, right? They may take a law from God and then it's a loophole, so if they got in trouble they can get around it. There is no loopholes with God, right? God doesn't do all this compromise. You may hear that a whole lot in church and Christianity. Compromise. There ain't no compromise when it comes to God. He's not like that, right? Because I saw this video and the guy was talking about it, right? He's everybody talking about they want to be a Christian and God knows my heart, so this is certain ways. And he was like, yeah, but they're still the same standard. The same standard for me, the same standard for you, her, whoever. Everybody got the same standard. The standard is the laws. Honor your mother and father, don't worship no gods, images, all that. That's the same. Everybody got the same standard. Now the testimony will be different because everybody can reach different things. You could have been a drug dealer. You could have been playing basketball. You could have been a military person. The testimony is going to be different because he has to reach you at a different way and a different point. But everybody should all come back to the same rules. Because just think about it, right? They talk about the feast and things. If we're feasting and we're having the Feast of Tabernacles and y'all want to celebrate Christmas, or be feast, well, or like Feast of Dedication or Purim, and y'all want to celebrate Christmas, how are we all going to be in heaven and y'all over here doing y'all Christmas party and we all over here doing dedication? It's not going to work. It's two different total things. It's two different cultures, two different lifestyles. Like all these things is there, right? How would that work as God? Because it's almost like there's different sets of rules, right? For the Jews, and then I guess you'll say the Gentiles. So you got the church, and then you got Israel, right? It's almost like it's two sets of rules. So if it's two sets of rules, who are you to tell me that God didn't tell me these rules is right? But it's not two sets of rules; it's the same rules. People would always ask me, "Well, if you didn't believe in Israel or Israelite, would you still follow the word?" I'm like, "Well, according to this book, yeah, because the word was given to Israel, but the word isn't Israel's. The law isn't Israel's, right? They were made with the covenant, but the law is God's. So if we all believe in the same God, we all gotta follow the same rules. So we all got to follow the same rules. And like I said, they go back to the fasting. Which way do you do it? How do you do it? What you doing it for? Right? People go to church all the time and they tired. What you tithing for? Are you tithing because you feel like you have to? Are you tithing because you grew up that way? Are you tithing because you're kind of trying to buy your way into heaven? Or are you tithing because it's genuinely to your heart? It's genuinely you trying to help the church because it's like, oh, dang, we need a building. Let me help give us some money, right? Because in reality, when God talks about tithing, the 10% you give is not because the Levites need it, because God doesn't need this or that. The 10% is God taking his money at the top. So God is really your IRS. He's your government, but he's telling you you wouldn't even have 10% to give if I didn't give you all the money anyway. So it belonged to him anyway. So it's like just give it back. But it's not giving back because it's to support the pastor and his lifestyle, or it's support this. It's to support the church. Y'all want a building, you tired, right? The people who want they want to have feasts and stuff, you tired. So Paul was going through that problem, right? He came to one of the cities and he's like, hey, where the money at? They don't got no money. So he wound up putting his own money up and taking the money from other churches. This is where you get the rob Peter to pay Paul, right? He's taking money from other churches to support this church because they're not doing it. But it's like, but you still want us to teach. You still want us to do feasts. It's not about him being individually getting paid because Paul also got a job. Paul's a tent maker. He's not worried about that. It's just that I just need the money to come do what I need to do. So if y'all want me to go preach in New York, y'all should already have something set up for me. I shouldn't have to make it, right? If that's what you want. Because I'm not asking for nothing. I'm not asking for no money. I'm not asking for a salary. I'm just asking for this. Not myself in general, but that's what a pastor's supposed to do, right? But nowadays, it's not looked at like that, right? They come up with all these rules and these different things, but the issue is it's their way, right? As I was reading, right, the way of fasting that they're doing is 3 through 4, right? Verse 3, verse 4, and I guess you can include 5 and 6, but we're gonna say 3 and 4 and 5 because 5 and 6 is just talking about the ritualistic part. But the rest of it is how God's doing it. So they're doing it for these reasons, and God doing it for others, right? It says, "Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and to bring the poor out to cast out the house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh." All these things is beneficial to the church. All these things are beneficial to other people, right? But mind you, during that time, God will still look out for you. I had a story that I told one time at a feast that it was this guy that I had gave a couple dollars to. I might have gave him 30, $40, right? On different occasions. So it's like 20 here, 30 here, whatever. And I guess he was, he might have been a substance abuser or whatever. And one day I took him to the bank, like I cashed his check. I get a state from the government, whatever. So he said he got to cash his check. Okay, cool. So I'm taking this man to cash his check, right? I'm taking the cash his check. I ain't got no gas. Like I was supposed to get gas, but I didn't think it was going to take this long to go to the bank. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm looking at my tank, like, I don't know, make it because I don't want to get like stuck in the middle of the road. I ain't got no gas can or nothing. But it was crazy because he was like, "Man, I'm gonna give you some money or whatever, take me to the bank." So I'm thinking, all right, it's up the street, not even a mile, right? Up the street. I'm thinking like 10, $15. But it was crazy. The money, he gave me like $100 or 80, $100. So the money I gave him, God also gave me back more, right? And it wasn't because I guess I needed it. I don't know, but it could have been a blessing from what I've been doing. And I'm not telling you to go out and give money just so God give it back.
It ain't gonna work like that.
But every time I gave money out, it wasn't for me. It was like, look, I may not have that much money, but $20 might mean a lot to this person, right? Because I'm good. I'm not outside on the corner. I don't have holes in my shoes and things like that. Or another incident where I gave this guy some clothes. I saw his shoes. I was like, man, he needs some new shoes. So I had shoes, but all my shoes is mostly clean. I mean, I got a couple dirty shoes that I use for like work and stuff. And I gave him some shoes. He was like, man, I can't take these. They too clean. And I'm like, look, all I got is clean shoes. So you got to take it. But I don't need them. I can't fit them. They better for you, bro, because you in a worse situation than me. People always talk about, oh, I don't got this and I don't got that, but just know it's always somebody that got something worse than you. I come to work, I see people who can't see, whether it's this eye, that eye, people who got arthritis, fingers like all crushed up. They got fused backs, fused necks. I mean, they be like 50-year old too, like 50, 60. Like I look at my parents, they in their 70s and they don't have all those complications. So it's like those right there to me is a blessing. Just all those. I'm at work talking about asking people for Christmas gifts. Well, you don't celebrate Christmas and all that. And I was like, look, well, give me some gold or some money. But it was like, well, it's not sentiment. It's not really a gift. But I told them I got the greatest gift of all. I'm up. I woke up. That right there is enough. You know what I'm saying? And then I can walk, talk, and then talk to y'all to do all this. So all the other gifts I get, hey, that's just like icing on the cake. But I don't even need it because I don't really like icing. But I'm just doing it to mess with people to see where they at. But just think about, like I said, when you're doing things, and you're going about your certain way. Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for God? But then not only are you doing it for yourself or God, is it coming from your heart? Like I said, is it genuine? Like, you know what I'm saying? When you give money or you do stuff with people, are you going to hold it over their head? If somebody sins against you, do you hold it over their head? Like, think about the things and the dynamics you do. Like, I known somebody, a couple, and the person was holding a grudge for them since like 1970. Man, it's 2025. You still holding a grudge from the 70s? So that means, in my eyes, your relationship could never really grow, right? Because you still stuck at this person at this moment in time for them doing this. So as this person's trying to grow, you're always going to be here, and you're waiting for them, I guess, to apologize or whatever to bring them back down so y'all can grow together. But you can't hold it over nobody's head. But like I said, just think about what you do when you fasting, what you're doing it for. When you're giving alms, which is like giving money away to the homeless and doing things, what you doing it for. When you coming to church, why you going to church. When you reading, what you reading for. Like everything you do, it has to have a meaning. But then, like I said, what's the way? What's the purpose? Are you reading for yourself? Oh, let me get smarter. Let me read some scriptures so I can go debate somebody about being a Hebrew Israelite. Or let me read this scripture because my mom or my significant other getting on my nerves. I need to prove them wrong. Or are you reading because you want to be a better person with God? Are you reading because you want to change your life around? Right? God don't want you arguing with nobody anyway. Debate. I don't want to debate nobody. I can have a conversation with somebody. We can have a talk, an edification process, but I don't want to be in no debate because I'm in a debate. The debate itself is just like the presidential debate or debate with your friends. You already come in with an idea or ideology, and they do too, right? And the purpose of the debate is for you to be swayed to my beliefs because I'm never going to believe what you think of, right, or how you see the world. So you believe God's a Trinity, or you believe God's one, or whatever you believe, right? You're never going to come down to that to the point where it's like, oh, I can see what you're saying. You're not going to do that because that's not the whole point of the debate. The whole point of the debate is it's like a battle. It's a win. Somebody got to win. I be watching debates. It's in the comments. Oh, you cooked him, or you did this because they're looking for that. When I talk to people, I don't want to have a debate. I want to talk in love. I want to talk in charity. I want to talk in edification. Like, oh yeah, you think about that? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't see it that way. Well, let me, talk to God and see about that. Oh, well, I read this and this is what happened, right? I'm not saying it's true, but just read about this. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh yeah, God said this, and this is Christ's name is Jesus," and nah, there's no point in me arguing with you about that, right? I know that's not his name anyway because my name starts with a J, and that's a new letter, right? The Julius Caesar, his name is not Julius Caesar. It's like Iulius or something like that because there is no J's in the Greek language. All that there's no J's, so that can't even be his name. That's a new letter, right? But I'm not going to debate nobody about that because that's what you want to talk about. I just care about edifying you, like taking you to a different level. All right. So is his name Christ? No, because Christ just really means anointed, but you can call him that. It's not a problem. Name the church after that, right? Because it just means anointed one. But then I got to remember, Christ is a Greek word. He's Hebrew, so it's the Mashiach, which is a Hebrew word for Messiah, right? Then once I get somebody there, I take them on there because I'm not going to argue with somebody because he said he's a Christian or this and that. Oh, you a Christian? Oh, we don't use that word because I'll lose him. That's the word he recognizes. I got to come down to his level. Hey, I'm a Christian too. I follow Christ, right? And I do this not because I'm lying, because technically I am a Christian. I follow Christ. That would be considered a Christian over there in Greek or Antioch, wherever they start calling them and everybody else. But I'm not going to bash somebody for that because they don't know. Because I know at one point I didn't know, right? But I can't get nowhere because now if I'm arguing about that, I'm trying to win. I'm trying to do a debate, and that's not God's way. God's way doesn't say it's argue about my real name. It doesn't say it's argue about what's right or wrong with your eyes. It says, hey, we need to edify. We need to show love to each other, right? Talking to people, helping people get to God, right? Show them what God's ways, and that's what this book is. It's all God's ways. Every time we read something, it's about God's ways. I just flipped over the Proverbs. It says, keep the commandments, the instruction of the Father, getting understanding and avoid evil. All this is God's ways. It's not about humans' ways because, like I said, what you determine what's right or wrong determines a whole lot, right? But if you determine what's right or wrong, it's really become subjective because I might think it's wrong to steal from your mom. You might not think so, right? But if God says it's wrong, we got to have some type of supreme authority. So whether it's God or whether it's multiple gods, I don't know. But it has to be somebody at the top to trickle down what authority really means. So like I said, if y'all been fasting or you plan on fasting, remember there's a way to fast and there's a way not to fast, right? What are you doing it for? Think about that. No matter how good you are on the ritualistic side, um, that doesn't matter if it's not coming from your heart. An example I use, I've been playing basketball lately, and I don't have the fire I had in basketball, right? Because I don't care about it. I'm not going pro. I'm not about to go play in no league. I'm just doing it now for like literally fun, recreation, right? I don't have the passion, but I can still play. I can still shoot the ball. I can still do these things, but I don't have that same passion. And I'm not mad about it, but just think about if I went in there with that same passion, where my heart is at, how much more would it be? Same thing with God when you fasting. If you're doing all these ritualistic things, you bowing your head down, you putting oil on your head, making sure you clean, not really, washing your face, but not telling nobody you fast too. You shouldn't really tell them you fast too, because that's really gonna start a whole other problem. You don't have to explain that to them. You turn down food, or hey, I don't want it, right? Don't tell them that, because then this is where the judgment comes in. This is where all the attack from Satan comes in, because now it's like, oh, he fasted. It's time to get him, right? You don't want none of those things, right? You don't want none of those things. So don't tell nobody what you're doing. But as you're doing it, right? As you're doing it, like I said, remember what you're doing it for. Don't get lost along the way, because like I said, that's what the temptation will happen, because you're weak, because now you want to hungry. Like, boy, I'm pretty sure you fast for 7 days, you'll taste a Ritz cracker. It might taste like gold because you ain't had no food, right? But just think about what you're doing it for, right? When, like I said, when you're connected with God in any instance of the matter, whether it's prayer, whether it's fasting, whether it's church, whether it's reading, always remember what you're doing it for, right? Think about that. Don't just I read today. Yeah, I read my devotion. Oh yeah, I read today. I did that because they were doing it in church. So I went to church today. The pastor, it was a good sermon. We talk about no, he talk about money, and then you go about your day and doing whatever you do, right? Just think about those things as you're working for God, as you're trying to be a servant, right? Because if you're not trying to be a servant of God, right? You're not trying to listen. You're not trying to obey. You're gonna commit a lot of sacrifices. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Because, like I said, if you listening to God, you may not have to go through none of those things you go through, or even have to make a sacrifice, because He knows the better way. He knows the ultimate way, because He knows all ways. So He knows the better way, so He can actually get you around that sacrifice. When you fasting, He can move you through the day, so you're not even going through all the temptations. But if you want to fast yourself and do what you want to do, hey God, I'm fasting. I'm asking for stuff. You ain't hear me yet. What's going on? Hey God, I'm fasting. I looked at my bank account. I ain't get paid this week. It was short. My check was short. God, I'm fasting. You doing all these things. Like, now you turn him into a genie. You just doing it through a process of a fast. All right. So that was today's lesson.
Did you read 14?
Should I read what thing? Yeah. That was today's lesson. If anybody got any questions, um, let me know. Whether you put them in the comments of the YouTube chat, or there's a few ones that's on WhatsApp. So I'm gonna say a prayer real quick, and then I'm gonna open everything up for questioning. Dear Heavenly Father, all praise be to you, with the Shai and Rock. We thank you for another blessed day, another blessed Sabbath. We thank you for everything. The wisdom you give us, the knowledge, the grace, the mercy, the understanding. We thank you for the little things, like I said, your senses, being able to see, talk, hear, walk, just to be in your presence, just to have another day to try to get it right. Because if we're still here, that means we still got work to do. We still have things to do. You have a plan for us, and we got to try to follow that plan. We thank you for your food, shelter, and raiment. And we just ask for a continuation to the coming Lord, our Savior, Yeshua. I'm on. Comments. Thinking there's one. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's it right there.
You got a question?
No. I'm beside the preach. I can ask whatever I want. I'm smart, man. I'll talk to you later. I'm still sitting there.
Yeah,
It makes sense, man. Dang, man. This all makes sense. All makes sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You'll have a good one.
You too.
Who was that? Does he?
No. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Avery. Thank you.
Man, what they on? How you get on that,
It's on
man?
YouTube.
Where you on YouTube at, man? What's going on? How come I don't know what that is?
Chill. You live. They can hear you.
Oh.
Go to the room. I put the link in there.
Today?
Yeah, I did it when the church started.
Oh, I ain't know my bad.
But you could just go to the YouTube page itself.
This every Sunday? I mean, every Saturday?
Yeah, I had to figure it out. I figured it out
You know what you
recently. No, it didn't happen last time. I just recorded it last week. It didn't happen last week. But
I ain't know what was on.
Yeah. Nah, you're good.
You said you know what? I've been learning that lately. I have, bro.
Hey, Kawhi Leonard said slow is pro.
Slow is shut up though. That's all I've been saying.
Because you usually make mistakes.
So I can put something right there, right?
Yeah. It's a delay on it though. Maybe
it's cool.
Like
no worries. No worries.
All right. So nobody has any questions. That's today's lesson. Like I said, I thank y'all for all coming. Hope to see y'all next week. And just remember, we got Pyram coming up on the 15th. Hope to see y'all there. Everybody knows the location. And if not, like I said, you can always send an email to the chat, or if you already got the WhatsApp, you can talk to me through that, or you got my number personally. You can always text me. But say thank you for all, and shalom, family. Shalom. Take myself up there. What's up, bro?